It was a warm Sunday evening on June 10th, 1984, when a group of cavers ventured into Valhalla Pit in Jackson County, Alabama. Valhalla Pit is a famous open-air cave shaft about 227 feet deep, often described as one of the most impressive vertical pits in the southeast. That day, as part of a regional cavers gathering, 18 people rappelled down to experience this massive limestone cavern. By early evening, most of the group had exited the cave, leaving only 3 experienced Georgia Tech students at the bottom for a final look around. Those 3 cavers, David Zern, Samuel Sam Crawford, 21, and Michael Mike Hannebaum, 20, were exploring near the base of the pit. Those 3 cavers, David Zern, Samuel Sam Crawford, 21, and Michael Mike Hannebaum, 20, were exploring near the base of the pit. The cave's floor was a sloping pile of boulders, tailless, with a concave alcove on one side, formed by an undercut in the rock wall. Crawford and Hannebaum waited in that alcove while Zern prepared to climb out. Hunkering in this recess was a common practice for cavers, as it was thought to be a relatively safe spot out of the way of any falling debris. Around 7:30 p.m, Zern clipped onto the rope and began ascending the 23-story vertical shaft, leaving his 2 friends standing on the rubble floor below. For a short while, everything was calm and routine. Suddenly, without any warning, the tranquil scene was shattered by a tremendous rumble from above. Partway up the rope, Zern heard what he later described as incredible, like an earthquake. The entire pit seemed to shake and echo with a thunderous cracking sound as the limestone wall gave way. Startled, Zern instinctively gripped his rope and stopped his climb. When the crashing noise finally subsided, a choking cloud of dust rose from the darkness below. Zern yelled down to check on his friends. Silence. He shouted their names again and again, but no answer came. Hanging on the rope in the sudden darkness and dust, he realized something had gone terribly wrong. Zern hurriedly climbed the remaining distance to the surface. Heart pounding, he ran for help, driving off to find a phone at the nearest house to alert rescue authorities. Within hours, rescue crews and fellow cavers arrived back at Valhalla Pit and peered over the lip into the dark void. What they found was a scene of almost unimaginable destruction. Sometime during Zern's ascent, an enormous slab of rock had sheared off the upper wall of the cave. This chunk of limestone, estimated around 30 by 30 feet in size, had detached from near the alcove and plummeted straight to the floor of the pit. In fact, the single massive slab had split into 2 colossal pieces as it fell. Crawford and Hannebaum, who had been waiting directly below, never stood a chance. The falling monoliths struck instantly and with crushing force. Fellow cavers on the rescue team later reported that one victim's body was partially visible amid the jumbled boulders, but the other was completely buried underneath the largest rock. The weight of the collapsed section was staggering. Later estimates put it between 50 and 250 tons of rock. It was as if a small apartment building's worth of limestone had collapsed in one violent moment. Both young men were killed on impact, essentially entombed under the fallen wall of the cave in a split second. In the grim recovery effort that followed, rescuers had to carefully dig and pry away smaller rocks to reach the victims. Heavy machinery was brought in to help lift and stabilize the heaviest slab as the bodies were recovered. Seasoned rescue personnel remarked that body recoveries are the hardest missions to face, and this one was particularly harrowing. By the time the operation was over, the tragic truth was clear. This was a freak, catastrophic rockfall, truly an act of God accident that no one could have predicted or prevented. Investigators and experienced cavers later reflected on the incident to glean any lessons. In their analysis, there was no error on the part of the victims. Crawford and Hannah Baum had simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time. They were standing in what seemed like the safest spot at the bottom of the pit, an area that had sheltered countless cavers before them. Yet fate had placed them directly beneath a hidden time bomb in the cave's geology. The limestone wall that failed had shown no obvious signs of instability until that day. Experts noted that caves, especially large vertical pits like Valhalla, are dynamic natural structures. They can remain unchanged for centuries, but occasionally without warning, they shed massive pieces of rock. No amount of experience or caution could have foreseen the sudden collapse of a 30-foot section of wall. For the caving community, the Valhalla rockfall served as a sobering reminder that while caving has many known risks, like falls, floods, or getting lost, sometimes the cave itself can be the danger. Solid rock can turn deadly in an instant. Even decades later, the Valhalla Pit tragedy of 1984 stands out as one of the most horrific and heartbreaking accidents in caving history. Two bright young explorers lost their lives not due to recklessness or mistake, but due to a chance structural failure deep underground. The story of that day is often retold with a shudder. How an idyllic adventure suddenly morphed into a nightmare as tons of ancient limestone broke free and snuffed out 2 lives in a heartbeat. Cavers who visit Valhalla now sometimes pause at the entrance to remember Crawford and Hannah Baum. Their fate underscores an unsettling truth for all who venture below the Earth's surface, that even the most seemingly stable cave can turn lethal without warning, and that each journey underground must be made with both respect and humility before the immense power of nature.